For those who are just coming in, I would like to request that you move closer to the front. We will be distributing materials for the workshop. Those who are closer to the front already have access to it. It's on the chairs. We will be using these materials for our workshop today. So yeah, we'll get right into it. Good afternoon. This is designing a Black Womanist Anthology in the context of sexual and reproductive health. Um, and so back to introductions. My name is Santana Nyanje. I am a graduate student at the University of Florida. I come from Kenya originally, and so I wish we had our Nigerian brother in here. And I would let my co-host introduce himself.
Um, Hello, welcome to a beautiful day. Today we are here to have fun and then share our thoughts on reproductive system. My name is Mohammed Sharif Umar. I'm also from Ghana. I'm a graduate student at UF studying MFA Design and Visual Communication. From Ghana as well. I'm from Ghana. She's from Kenya, so we are all Africans. And then was really proud when I saw my brother the wisdom doing his presentation and how I could relate to that too, because I got here last year and I also faced certain problems when I got here. It wasn't easy for me to drive through and then get here at this point of time. But that's the reason why I took upon myself to be part of this workshop and share my experience and help learn from other people and then meet people as well. Um, One of the experience I would like to share is at the other side, which is Africa. This is my first time leaving my country, so didn't get it. I wasn't experiencing all these segregation and everything till I got here. So I came here as a student, but now I would say I'm an ambassador to Africa and my country as a whole because I have my part to play in whatever that is going on in this country. And I would say my first achievement is as of today, I've helped talk to a friend who had a different mindset about Africa, but today she's getting her passport, and hopefully, this year at the end of this year, we're gonna go to Ghana and help her explore. And I promise her that I'll make sure her family comes along during our subsequent visits. So now I consider myself as an African ambassador. So anything that's yeah that goes on between Africa and the United States, I'll become the bridge and help us have a fair idea of whatever that's going on. So moving on to our next slide. Okay.
Um, Sorry. So before we move on to actually engaging with you during our workshop, we'd like to introduce Dr. Portia Moore. If you could wave, she has been a very supportive member of the African American community, and we feel close to her. So thank you, Dr. Portia. Um, so I'd like to talk about the context of our workshop before we move on to working and guiding you along the session. The previous presenters, including Dr. Sherry, did a good job with sort of explaining the context. I also happen to have an interest in Black feminism, Black feminist thought, feminism, Africana womanism, and all terminologies that have been created for Black people as a whole. We understand that being Black transcends nationality, hence our representation here, and we are grateful to have this opportunity to work alongside you today. And I will talk about a few terminologies that will be helpful with guiding us through today's session. So my first focus would be on the term womanism, as talked about by Alice Walker, and I like her definition, or rather her specification on including male or men, and talking about sexual and reproductive health based on our analysis of text and readings about the history of Black health within the context of America and also Africa. We notice the on-say insistence, I'm sorry, for lack of a better word, on representation and boys and also including men in talking about it. Sexual and reproductive health is a, I would say, hot topic, not only in the context of America, but also in Africa. You notice that there's a change, or rather a shift in change that has not been recorded, or rather the trajectory has been back and forth. And so we're hoping to contribute to the topic or to scholarly work that has been done by other feminists or Black feminists in health. And then an anthology, which we're hoping to also engage you and help us contribute to creating literally pieces of works that we can help display or talk about in our research work.
Okay. The next terminology we'll be talking about is designers. So this is where we come to. This we designers come in and make every workshop or every event lively because we put much effort into it, and we have models and steps that we use to help non-designers to go through whatever that we are doing, trying to make sure that everyone here feels he or she has something to say when it comes to helping others reflect on their own agendas or what is in their memory to reflect, because being able to reflect on other people's memory is doesn't come through only discussion, but then comes through a design process, which will help all of us to like achieve whatever we want to achieve at this workshop. So I got this quote from one of my doctors that he's teaching me back in UF, Dr. Frederick, saying designers create tools like modules, prototypes, or activities to help people engage with the controversies in their meaningful way, meaning makes everything clear so that there wouldn't be any confusion. So when I saw how this program, our section was put, I was like, okay, it was right before lunch. That means we get time to walk around, not see, because right after eating, if you sit down, it becomes boring. So it was perfect for us to like put our program on this. And then the next term we'll talk about is reflexi- re- reflect reflexivity. Sorry for my pronunciations. Which has to do with inclusiveness. Most of the times when we talk about womanism, we men tend to like go back from these topics because we think we are not included. But to be fair, we are all one because as a human, we play parts in their reproductive system each way or another. If you don't have a wife, you have a child. If you don't have a child, you have a sister. You might some way somehow go through this in your life. So it is good that you have a fair idea of what we say reproductive health systems and the process that we go through to make sure that everything that has to do with reproductive health system, you have a fair idea of it, so that when you get yourself into that situation, you will know because you've attended a workshop, you've shared the experience with your colleagues, and then how to apply it and see the outcome of this workshop. And the third keyword that we're going to talk about is intersectionality, which has to do with making sure that there's no discrimination. It's like a form of framework that helps designers bring people together, people from all kind of places together to work as a group, and then make sure that they are able to reflect on other people's ideas and come together and then bring out a wonderful and meaningful meaning to whatever processes or whatever test that they were put to. So we'll go ahead and move to the next slide, which has to do with how we are going to, but we would like to first seek a consent of like taking pictures and documentary, whatever that is going on when you guys are working around and designing and bringing up your ideas or thoughts on the board, so that we use it for our further research, if that would be cool. Let's move to the next slide. Now, the main structure of today is going to be the activity list of prompts that we all have and the resources. There's a QR code behind that. If you scan, it's going to take you to a survey. We're going to do that at the end of the workshop. So you put in information, email, and everything. So we have two lists with us. One has to do with the resources, and one has to do with the prompts. So what we are going to do today for the activity is we gather in groups, um, 6 groups in each around each board, and then we reflect on our prompts. So let's say if you choose to go with these are the prompts that we'll be working with, which we already have. So if you choose to go with, we are choosing 2 prompts to work with. So you write, there's a sticky note back there. You write the number that you wanna talk about, write the reason why you want your group members to elaborate more on that topic, and then we use the red stickers to vote for topics that we think should go on the colored board in front, like in the middle of the cardboard, so we get a fair idea of what we all think is necessary for us to talk about. And also, if you are including if you are numbering your prompts, make sure that you suggest the list of resources. You suggest a resource that you think will be better for people to visit. That's associates with the prompt. So we are going to go around to make sure it is clear for all of us. So our advisor that at this stage we get up off our seat politely and then divide ourselves into group and walk around the board. And then my fellow is gonna continue to make it clear.
Okay, so I'm going back to talking about today's activity, which will be engaging you in a reflexive process. And so we have a section which is individual. You have in your hand a piece of white paper. Do we all have pens? If you do not have a pen, we have pens available for you to use. And so, for clarity purposes, or rather to begin the phase of today's workshop, I am going to ask you as participants on your white piece of paper, looking at this list of prompts, I would like for you to pick at least 1 or 2 which you think applies to you or is most important to you, and tell us about your experience with that, or rather provide a justification as to why you picked the 2 prompts. So I'd like to know about your own individual experiences. I believe that, or rather we believe that this is a platform for you to express your own individual needs. And that will be the first phase of today's discussion. And then we have 6 workstations set up around the room. So after you fill out the white piece of paper, which will include your response to 1 or 2 of these prompts, and also a name of a resource that you think is important or has served your needs, we have the list provided. In case you do not have, or in case you notice that there's a resource that is important to you and is not available on the list, feel free to add it onto the piece of paper. This will be helpful for us later on as we do our own quantitative analysis. But after you fill out the white paper, pick any of the workstations. We'd like for you to distribute yourselves around the room. We have 6 places set up. We have 3 on the side and 3 on the walls. And then there's pins at each workstation. So you will use the pin to, or rather the push pin, to place your white paper on the wall. And then we'll move from there, or we'll give further instruction from there. Are we good? Are we clear on instructions? You look lost. Yeah, are you okay? Okay. Or is it the lunch working? Don't sleep on me. Okay. And so, yeah, we're going to take, it's 2:47 right now. Do we think 5 minutes is good for us to pen down? Okay. So we're going to take 5 minutes to pen down our responses to the prompts on your white piece of paper. And then we will move across the room to any of the workstations available to you. There's pins made available in a tiny container, but we'll also be moving around to help provide resources that, or rather materials that are not close to you. So do we all have pens, paper, materials? Are we good? Okay. Okay, time is up. I'd like to request you to move um, into groups of 5 or 6 people per station. So feel free to pick any of the stations um, and pin your response to the piece of cardboard that you have. So that's around the colored piece of paper. So anywhere around the colored piece of paper. The colored piece of paper should be left blank for now. So place your white piece of paper anywhere on the board. The colored piece of paper should be left. My co-host will be moving around to um, engage with you and give further instruction. Are we good? Okay, so step two will be I am going to invite you to have conversations with your team members, your group mates, to talk about what you put down on your piece of paper. So talk about why you picked the prompt, why it's important to you, and then the red sticky notes will come in later to be the next step. But for now, I open the space for discussion with your teammates to talk about um, the information you put on your white piece of paper.
Okay, I just would like to out of what identity embody. So I just try to explain myself because I'm from Africa, Nigeria to be precise. So I just myself.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry to cut you short, but I'm going to ask you to engage in conversation. We're going to move on to the next step, which is it's not so tricky, but I'm going to have to ask you to vote. So if you're to vote for one of the white of the pieces of information on any of the white papers, which one would it be? You cannot vote for yourself. That's corruption. Uh, there's no corruption in Black history. And then, before I forget, the piece with the most stickers, or rather the winning piece, is what is going to go into the middle. So the sheet of paper with color, the colored sheet of paper, the information that is on the winning piece of paper is what's going to go in the middle. So I'm going to have to ask you to volunteer, one of you, to write in the middle. So step one will be voting with the red dots, which should be attached right next to the pieces of cardboard, and then the winning piece is what will be going in the middle. So also want to iterate the fact that this does not mean that we ignore the information that you shared that is around, but rather thinking about the opportunity to start from somewhere. I believe that every journey has a starting point, so we will count the winning piece of information in the middle as your starting spot, and then when it comes to addressing other issues, we can still cover those, so it's still present within the information. It's not hidden. So thank you. We have 2 minutes to wrap up. I encourage you to write um, your final vote in the middle, and then we have one final step to do before we finish today's session. Um, I think I should mention that I request you to write and not put the white stick in the middle. So write on the paper itself. Hello, hello. Can I get your attention, please? Hi. Hello. I am so sorry for cutting short your conversations, but I'm going to have to ask us to do one last thing. I believe each one of you should have access to a sticky note. And so the idea or the goal of the workshop was for you to also move around and get to see what other people have on their board and write your thoughts or your reflection on that on the sticky note and paste it on their board. Also, there's microphones amongst you, so if there's anyone who'd like to share their reflection with us, it will be highly appreciated. And then um, the other thing I need to talk about is the QR code, which should be available on the piece of paper you had earlier. It still gives you the opportunity to give us feedback on how the workshop went, or if there's any further conversation that you'd like to have about it, you are more than welcome to also share your contact information with us, like your email. And yeah, so thank you for participating in today's workshop. Please move around, leave reflections, leave your thoughts on other people's piece of work. And we greatly appreciate taking your time in participating in our workshop.